Hey y'all, Mr. Phillips here. Jury duty? I don't have time for that. What if something happens while I'm away? Like I get summoned for jury duty. I can't risk missing that. So I figured the quickest way to get out of my civic duty was to plead ignorance by reason of insanity. And the easiest way to do that is through excessive alcohol consumption, talking about politics. Fun fact, did you know politicians use improv on a daily basis, whether it's debating, campaigning, or their daily governance?
You previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it.
That definitely wasn't premeditated. The origin of improv in politics can be traced back as early as 1948, when the first radio debate was held in Oregon between Republicans Thomas E. Dewey and Harold Statson during the party's presidential primary. This signified the importance of verbal presentation, and as entertainment continued to evolve, politicians slowly began embracing every aspect of performance. Examples of this include the 1960s presidential debate between Kennedy and Nixon, which signified the importance of physical performance in politics with the introduction of the television. Following that, the 2008 presidential debate between Obama and McCain signified the importance of audience engagement in political performance due to the introduction of social media. The ability to use improvisational techniques to act fast and respond quickly when put in unexpected situations can help signify the success of a career. It's not uncommon to implement the fake it till you make it mentality or improvise because, much like performance in theater, through improv, politicians are able to form a connection with audiences, influence public perceptions, and often plays a key role in the outcome of an election. Politicians will have to navigate a variety of unforeseen situations, including foreign conflicts, economic crisis, environmental disasters, etc., and improvisational skills can help political leaders respond with limited information. A great example of improv being used effectively is John F. Kennedy's handling of the Cuban Missile Crisis. This required the former president to engage in unscripted negotiations where justification and civility were key to neutralizing a diplomatic threat, whereas an example of improv being used ineffectively was President Trump's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. While technically a majority of issues can be planned over an extensive period of time, politicians cannot plan how they're perceived. Thus, expecting the unexpected is important when put into a position of power, and improvising when dynamics shift. However, before politicians are even elected, they'll first have to win over voters. This is where improv in politics really shines, as they'll use a variety of techniques over the course of several months in activities such as campaigning and debating. Campaigning requires establishing who you are, what you're doing, and understanding where you are when trying to connect with a variety of diverse people with individual concerns. Although speeches can be premeditated, much like improv, politicians need to adjust their delivery based on their surroundings and the audience reactions. Obviously, the most prominent example of this is President Trump, whose rallies depict a scene through the use of audience energy while also having to adjust for a variety of unscripted moments.
And the reason I'm here is because it hasn't been done in many decades. It hasn't been done for a long time, but we are going to win New York.
Here we get a who, what, where. We have Trump campaigning for president in New York. A solid platform depicting a clear scene and sets up the narrative to go in any direction. Regardless of what the platform is, politicians use this technique to craft a scene and deliver persuasive messages to the people through campaigning. If the platform isn't properly established or the message gets lost in the performance, what you end up with is an unsuccessful campaign.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that.
What? What the fuck?
Debates are also an example of high-stake events where knowing how to improvise is crucial for politicians. While candidates may prepare talking points, politicians often face unexpected questions from the moderators, where real-time reactions can determine the outcome of the debate. Just like in improv, a skilled politician will implement the yes and technique to take control of the narrative when debating. For instance, when unexpectedly asked about his age in the 1984 presidential debate, former President Ronald Reagan accepted the offer that was presented and responded with what is regarded today as the moment he had won the election.
Is there any doubt in your mind that you would be able to function in such circumstances?
Not at all, Mr. Truitt, and I want you to know that also I will not make age an issue of this campaign.
Through improv, Reagan's remark was able to shift the narrative in his favor by neutralizing a potential weakness and gaining favoritism by the American people. Compare this to the 2025 US presidential debate, and you'll understand how Joe Biden's inability to utilize proper improv cost him his re-election.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
It's much more apparent when politicians fail to utilize improv than when they succeed, because if executed correctly, the narrative will reflect it. In the previous scene, Joe Biden was wimping throughout that entire debate, which helped Trump maintain control of the narrative. And there's multiple instances of negatives in improv being used by politicians. For example, sidetracking, where they might be focused on anything but the present moment, or trying to change the subject entirely.
Vice President Pence, have you had a conversation or reached an agreement with President Trump about safeguards or procedures when it comes to the issue of presidential disability? And if not, do you think you should? You have 2 minutes without interruption.
Well, Susan, thank you, although I would like to go back.
I think we need to move on to the issue
Well, thank you, but I would like to go back because the reality is that we're going to have a vaccine, Senator, in record time, in unheard of time, in less than a year.
There's also instances of them failing to utilize improv techniques correctly. One of the most common being specificity, or rather a lack thereof.
What we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then I would absolutely do it. But until then, I'd run it as good as it can be run.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan. I'm not president right now.
Even a simple endowment via a gesture can make or break a politician's career. I mean, look at how significant meme culture has been in conveying political opinions. It's free publicity. Hell, in this day and age, it's probably a requirement, because if you can successfully make an offer or endowment that gives audiences a clear perspective of who you are as a person, you can achieve political greatness. In fact, the best example of this happened during one of the most unexpected moments during Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
From what we can see right here, it looks like they are attempting to move him out, that he may have been injured.
So yeah, knowing how to improvise is pretty important in the political sphere. Without it, there lacks a sense of authenticity with who they are as a person. Politicians who play by the book or maintain a filter can be perceived as less appealing to the average person compared to those who essentially wing it. The ability to adapt and respond quickly to ever-changing situations and offers presented helps shape political success, because while preparation is important, those who master strong improv techniques forge better connections with the public, outperform political opponents, and navigate crisis more effectively. Improvisation is a necessity regardless of what you pursue. And as politics continues to evolve, improv will always remain a crucial skill for political leaders working to create change and inspire others in the everlasting performance of life. But anyways, now that I've successfully achieved mental insanity, hopefully this means that I can now get out of jury duty. Great news! I no longer have jury duty, and instead I'm going to be held in contempt of court.